As a prostate doctor, I want to start with something urgent because too many men over 60 are suffering in silence and they don't have to. If you're waking up 2, 3, or even 4 times a night just to urinate, if your stream feels weak, if you often feel like you never fully empty your bladder, you've probably been told it's just age. But listen closely, this is not normal aging and it's not something you're doomed to accept. These problems usually come from daily habits that irritate and enlarge the prostate without you even realizing it, and the most dangerous one is something almost every man I meet is guilty of. Stay with me until the end of this video because I'll give you simple, practical tips you can start using tomorrow to fight back and finally take control of your nights, your bladder, and your prostate health. One of the most dangerous daily habits that silently damages the prostate is something almost every man over 60 has done at some point, and that is cutting back on water. You've probably heard it from friends or even convinced yourself, if I drink less, especially in the evening, I won't have to get up so many times at night. On the surface, it makes sense, but in reality, it is one of the biggest mistakes you can make for your prostate. When your body doesn't get enough water, your urine doesn't stay light and clean. It becomes dark, acidic, and concentrated. That concentrated urine is like sandpaper against the lining of your bladder. It irritates the tissues, it creates inflammation, and that irritation doesn't stay contained. The bladder sits right above the prostate, and every time the bladder is irritated, it transfers that pressure and that irritation straight down into the prostate gland. What you end up with is swelling, inflammation, and a constant sense of urgency, even when there is very little urine inside. That's why so many men feel like they need to go again and again, only to pass a few drops each time. This cycle is cruel. You think you are preventing trips to the bathroom by drinking less, but in fact you are training your body to stay irritated all day and all night. The less water you drink, the harsher your urine becomes. The harsher your urine, the more your bladder screams at you. And the more your bladder screams, the more your prostate swells. Instead of fewer bathroom visits, you end up with more. Instead of restful sleep, you get broken nights. Instead of calm mornings, you start the day already tired. I have seen this pattern in countless patients. Men who proudly tell me, "Doctor, I don't drink much water, so I don't have to get up at night," but when I ask how often they still wake up, the answer is usually 3, 4, even 5 times. They cut water, but they never cut the problem because they didn't know that dehydration itself was the trigger. The truth is simple. Water is not the enemy of your prostate. Dehydration is. And the belief that drinking less will protect you is not just a myth. It's a dangerous myth that keeps millions of men stuck in the same exhausting cycle night after night. Imagine a sponge that you leave out on the counter day after day without ever soaking it in water. At first, it just feels a little dry and stiff, but the longer it sits, the more brittle it becomes. The edges start to curl, tiny cracks appear on the surface, and if you press it too hard, the sponge begins to break apart. That is exactly what happens inside your body when you don't give it enough water. Your bladder lining is like that sponge. When it stays hydrated, it's flexible, smooth, and able to expand and contract without pain. But when you're dehydrated, it becomes stiff, irritated, and much more fragile. And just like pressing down on a brittle sponge makes it crack, the constant pressure from concentrated urine makes the bladder inflamed and overactive. Now remember, the bladder sits right on top of the prostate. So every time the bladder becomes irritated and tense, that tension pushes downward. The prostate feels that same pressure, and because the gland is soft and sensitive, it swells. Over time, this swelling becomes enlargement, and suddenly what began as a little dryness has turned into a constant problem. The sponge is the perfect picture of what happens inside your urinary system without water. Dry, cracked, irritated, and breaking down instead of staying smooth, elastic, and healthy. That's why hydration isn't just about thirst. It's about protecting your bladder and your prostate from turning into that brittle sponge. I once had a patient in his late 60s who came to me completely exhausted. He told me that every night he was waking up 5 or 6 times just to use the bathroom. His sleep was broken, his mornings were miserable, and he had almost given up on the idea of feeling rested again. When I asked him about his daily habits, he proudly said, "Doctor, I don't drink much water, especially in the evening, because I thought that way I'd avoid getting up so often." This is a mistake I hear all the time. Men believe they are helping themselves by cutting back on water, when in reality they are making the problem worse. His bladder was irritated from concentrated urine, his prostate was swollen from the constant pressure, and the less he drank, the more his body screamed at him during the night. I explained the truth to him. I asked him to try something simple: drink water consistently during the day, keep himself hydrated, and only slow down in the evening instead of avoiding water completely. He agreed to give it a try, even though he was skeptical. 2 weeks later, he came back with a smile on his face. Instead of 5 or 6 trips every night, he was getting up only once, sometimes twice. His sleep was deeper, his energy during the day was back, and he told me he finally felt like he had control again. Nothing magical, no expensive pills, no risky procedures. Just the simple act of drinking enough water at the right times. That patient's story is one I've seen repeated countless times, and it proves an important point. The problem isn't always age. More often, it's a habit that silently damages the prostate until you change it. Water is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. Your body is built to run on it, and your bladder and prostate depend on it more than most men realize. When you drink water regularly throughout the day, your urine stays light and clear, not dark and acidic. Clear urine means your bladder is calm, it is not irritated, and it is not pressing down on your prostate with inflammation and pressure. Think of hydration as daily maintenance. The same way you take care of your car so it doesn't break down. When you give your body water steadily, sip by sip, hour by hour, you are protecting your bladder lining, keeping the tissue smooth and flexible, and giving your prostate a chance to rest instead of being attacked. The goal is simple: light, almost transparent urine. That is your body's natural sign that you are hydrated and your system is protected. I always tell my patients, don't wait until you feel thirsty, because thirst is already a late signal. By the time you notice it, your body is already dehydrated, your urine is already concentrated, and the irritation cycle has already begun. The smarter way is to get ahead of it, to make drinking water a quiet routine, not an afterthought. A glass in the morning, small sips through the afternoon, a little before dinner. That's all it takes to keep your body defended. Water really is a shield. It dilutes the waste that otherwise burns, it calms the bladder, and it takes pressure off the prostate. And the difference you feel is not just in fewer bathroom trips. It shows up in deeper sleep, steadier energy, better mood, and more confidence throughout the day. All of that starts with something as simple as staying hydrated. The mistake most men make is not just drinking too little water, it's also drinking it at the wrong time. If you wait until the evening to finally hydrate, you overload your bladder right before bed, and of course, you end up waking up at night. That's not hydration, that's sabotage. The smarter way is to front-load your water during the day. Start the morning with a full glass as soon as you wake up. It wakes up your metabolism, flushes out waste that built up overnight, and sets your bladder on a clean path for the day. Then keep sipping steadily through breakfast, lunch, and the early afternoon. By the time evening comes, your body is already nourished, your tissues are hydrated, and you don't need to drown yourself before bed. This simple shift, more water earlier, less water later, works like a reset button. Your bladder stays calmer at night, your prostate is under less pressure, and you finally get to rest without being pulled out of deep sleep every 2 hours. Think of it like charging your phone. You don't wait until midnight to plug it in. You keep it charged through the day so it doesn't die when you need it most. Your body is the same. Steady hydration early means peace and recovery at night. So here's the truth: your bladder and your prostate are not your enemies. They are just sending you signals. Nighttime trips, weak flow, irritation, these are not signs of aging. They are signs of habits. And the biggest habit you can fix starting right now is hydration. Here's your plan for tomorrow. When you wake up, drink 1 full glass of water before anything else. With breakfast, add another glass. Between breakfast and lunch, sip slowly, don't chug, just steady hydration. At lunch, another glass. In the early afternoon, 1 more. Then after 6 or 7 p.m., ease up. Just small sips if you're thirsty, nothing heavy. If you follow this for just 1 week, you'll notice changes. Your urine will be lighter, your bladder calmer, and your nights quieter. You'll start sleeping deeper, waking up with more energy, and your prostate will thank you for the relief. The myth says less water equals fewer bathroom trips. The truth is the opposite. Smart hydration equals fewer trips, better sleep, and better health. Your body is ready to respond if you give it the right support. Start tomorrow and let your results prove it. And if you found this advice helpful, subscribe now so you don't miss the next simple but powerful tips to protect your prostate and take back your health.